The day began with a strange warmth for January. On January 12, 1888, across the Dakota Territory in Nebraska, the sun shone brightly. The air was so mild that many settlers, including countless schoolchildren, left their heavy winter coats at home. They had no idea that a monster was approaching. A powerful cold front was racing down from Canada with incredible speed. It carried with it a terrifying wall of snow and wind. This was not just a storm. It was a sudden, violent blizzard that would catch an entire region completely by surprise, turning a pleasant day into a fight for survival. The storm struck without any warning. The temperature dropped in a matter of minutes, plunging from above, freezing to well below zero. The sky turned dark, and a blinding snow, as fine as flour, began to fall. It was driven by winds that howled at over 60 miles per hour. People who were outside were instantly lost in a complete whiteout. They could not see more than a few feet in front of them. The wind was so fierce it was hard to breathe. For the hundreds of children in one-room schoolhouses, the end of the school day became a moment of terrible danger. Many teachers faced an impossible choice. Should they keep the children in the school, risking freezing to death if the fuel ran out? Or should they try to lead them to the safety of their nearby homes, risking getting lost in the blinding storm? Many chose to make a run for it. They tied the children together with rope, hoping to keep everyone from getting separated in the chaos. Sadly, many of these groups became disoriented in the swirling snow. The short distances to their homes became impossible journeys. The blizzard showed no mercy, and the landscape became a frozen trap. This event became known as the Children's Blizzard for a tragic reason. An estimated 235 people died, a large number of them children who froze to death trying to get home from school. The stories from that day are heartbreaking. They tell of heroism and of terrible loss. The blizzard of 1888 was not the biggest storm in history, but its suddenness and its devastating impact on the most vulnerable members of the community left a deep scar. It was a brutal lesson. It showed everyone that weather could change with deadly speed, and that being unprepared was a fatal mistake. A major part of the tragedy was the complete lack of a warning system. In 1888, weather forecasting was a new science. The U.S. Army Signal Corps was responsible for it, but their methods were slow and simple. They relied on telegraphs to share weather observations. On that fateful day, the telegraph system had a problem. The warnings about the approaching cold wave were not sent out in time. So, while forecasters knew a storm was coming, the information never reached the people who needed it most. The farmers, the teachers, and the children had no idea what was about to hit them. The disaster showed just how dangerous a lack of information could be. People made decisions based on the weather they saw outside their windows. A warm, sunny morning suggested a safe day. No one could have guessed that a life-threatening blizzard was just minutes away. This highlighted a critical weakness in society's defense against nature. Without timely and accurate warnings, people were left completely vulnerable. The blizzard proved that knowing about a storm was just as important as having a warm coat or a strong shelter. It was a matter of life and death. The impact was felt in every corner of the prairie. Families were shattered. Communities mourned the loss of their children and neighbors. The storm became a legend, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. People realized that the old ways of predicting weather, like looking at the sky or trusting instinct, were not enough. The wild and unpredictable nature of the Great Plains demanded something more. It required a system that was faster, more reliable, and could reach everyone, no matter how isolated their farm or school might be. The human cost of this failure was immense. The personal stories from the survivors painted a grim picture of the chaos. Some people survived by finding their way to a haystack and burrowing inside. Others got lost just steps from their own front door. The blizzard did not just freeze the land, it froze a moment in time. It exposed how a simple communication breakdown could lead to a large-scale disaster. The existing system was not designed for speed or for reaching the general public directly. It was a system for collecting data, not for saving lives. The children's blizzard made it painfully clear that this had to change. In the aftermath of the children's blizzard, there was a public outcry. People demanded a better way to get warnings about dangerous weather. The government realized that weather forecasting was too important to be just a part of the Signal Corps. It needed its own dedicated agency focused on public safety. This led directly to the creation of the U.S. Weather Bureau in 1890, which we know today as the National Weather Service. Its primary mission was clear from the very beginning: to provide forecasts and warnings for the benefit of the public. This new agency started to build a more robust system. They expanded the network of weather observation stations across the country. They invested in better technology and training for forecasters. The goal was to create a system that could see a storm coming from much farther away. It was also designed to spread the word quickly. The Weather Bureau began using telegraphs, and later the radio, to send out alerts. They understood that a forecast was useless if it did not reach the people in the path of the storm. This was a fundamental shift in thinking, directly inspired by the tragedy of 1888. Experts learned valuable lessons about how these types of blizzards form. They are known as Alberta clippers, fast-moving storms that bring dramatic temperature drops and high winds. By studying the patterns of the 1888 storm, meteorologists began to understand the specific ingredients that create these sudden, violent events. This knowledge allowed them to develop better forecasting models. They learned to look for the telltale signs of a powerful cold front diving south from Canada. This scientific advancement was crucial for providing earlier and more accurate warnings in the future. The focus also shifted to public education. It was not enough to just issue a warning. People needed to understand what the warning meant and what they should do to stay safe. The Weather Bureau began to create standardized terms, like blizzard warning, to communicate the level of danger clearly. They worked with newspapers and radio stations to teach people about the risks of winter storms. The goal was to make sure that no one would ever be caught by surprise again, the way the settlers of the Great Plains were. This combination of science, technology, and public outreach formed the backbone of our modern warning system. Today, when a winter storm approaches, we are surrounded by information. Our phones buzz with emergency alerts. The TV and radio broadcast constant updates from meteorologists. We can check detailed radar maps on our computers. Road closures are announced instantly, and schools are canceled well in advance. All of these systems are the direct descendants of the lessons learned from historic disasters like the Children's Blizzard. The tragic failure to warn people in 1888 created the powerful drive for the instant communication network we rely on now. We are safer because they were not. Think about the alerts you receive on your phone. That wireless emergency alert system is the modern version of a warning that failed to be sent by telegraph over a century ago. When a blizzard warning is issued by the National Weather Service, it comes with a specific definition of wind speeds and visibility. This clarity is a response to the confusion and unpreparedness of the past. Every safety recommendation, from stocking up on supplies to staying off the roads, is based on the real-world experiences of people who faced these storms and, in some cases, did not survive. The story of the Children's Blizzard is more than just a sad piece of history. It is a powerful reminder of why we must take weather warnings seriously. It shows us that even a day that starts out pleasant can turn deadly. It teaches us that being prepared is not an overreaction. It is a necessity. Understanding the history of these events gives us context for the alerts we receive. It helps us see them not as an inconvenience, but as a shield built from the hard lessons of the past. These warnings carry the echoes of those who were lost. Learning from history is our best defense against repeating it. The science of meteorology and the technology of communication will continue to improve. But the fundamental lesson of the Children's Blizzard remains the same. Nature is powerful and unpredictable, and our obsession with timely, accurate information is our greatest tool for staying safe. By remembering the tragedies of the past, we honor the victims by heeding the warnings that exist today. We ensure that their story continues to protect us every time the winter wind begins to howl.